right, welcome back to Bit by Bit for another coffee break. This is our 21st episode, so we thought we'd do something special. We are at Volumes, which is a bookstore and cafe in Wicker Park, and we are drinking beer for this episode instead of coffee. And so I guess just to start out, I'm going to say what I'm drinking. I'm having a Founder's Rubaeus, which is a raspberry ale, and it's pretty good. So.
Yeah, as for me, I'm drinking Misfit IPA by Wild Onion Brewery. It's also pretty good. It's very solid. So yeah, some solid drink choices early on.
And we're just going to talk about a couple of things related to drinking and gaming, just to stay with the theme. And I guess just sort of to start out with what our drinking preferences are while we game. So Janet, do you have any preferences for when you're video gaming, for what you like to drink, or does it change based on what you're playing or how long you're playing?
Yeah, I think I mainly just drink whatever's in my fridge. That's typically how that goes. But I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting to think about this question because I don't know. I think we all, no matter what, have our drinking preferences and also gaming preferences. So I think what I mainly I'll say what I mainly drink and what I mainly game. So I mainly play platformers and I mainly drink IPAs. I'm expanding my gaming and drinking preferences. So now I say the second type of beer I most usually drink, or type of alcohol I most usually drink, would be at this point probably like fruit beers. So I'm really into like fruit beers. I'm also getting really into like simulator games and like puzzle games. Puzzle platformers are probably one of my favorites. So I think it's now that I'm kind of talking through this, I think it's kind of interesting because I like very typical. An IPA has hops in it, which is a very typical beer taste. Like when people think beer tastes nasty, they normally don't like hops. So like in platformers are very like classic video game genre. So I think it's kind of interesting too when I think about my drinking preferences and my gaming preferences that it goes from very traditional to a little more experimental. And obviously like I love the craft beer scene and I love the indie game scene. So it's kind of interesting how those line up. What would you say your drinking and gaming preferences are?
So for me, if I'm drinking beer, I usually prefer to have a porter or a stout. A lot of times I'll branch out into mixed drinks and I like wine a lot. But I do drink beer quite a bit and I also like the craft beer scene. And I do like, fruit beers, obviously, because I'm drinking a raspberry ale right now. And sours. I'm pretty into sours. So I'd say fruit beers and sours are about on the same level for me, and stouts and porters are like a million years above anything. And then for gaming, I guess my top preferences are like action adventure, RPGs, and
sorry, our friend just walked by and then walked away.
Like awkward. Yes, I like action adventure RPGs, and then I also like sim games, depending on like what kind they are. I really like things like Harvest Moon and stuff like that. And I guess to some extent you could think of stouts and porters as kind of going with RPGs, because a lot of them are like fantasy RPGs. It's like dark beer.
Can be hard to get through.
Yeah, for you. Yeah. It does not take me long to get through a stout.
Or an RPG.
Or an RPG, yeah.
Depending,
yes, Depending. And then of course, I guess, so like maybe the fruitier stuff and the more sour beers kind of go with my cutesy Harvest Moon and Sims and Animal Crossing preferences on occasion, which is a little weird because I do feel like fruit beers and stouts really different tastes, and that's the same for me with gaming. I'll be like on one side and then coming on the other, so it's a mixed bag. And I don't know, it kind of ties into to the indie and craft beer thing that you do for the most part with Ryan on Bit Cultures, and that some of us sort of pop into from now and again. Do you want to explain that?
Yeah, so we've actually kind of had this month off because like scheduling just has been a mess. But for I think starting like sometime in the summer, we started doing these indie games and craft beer pairings where you take an indie game and pair it with a craft beer, or vice versa. So I'm trying to think of the first one I did. I think I did, and I mentioned this in the channel before. I did Gone Home and a dark beer because it was kind of like an eerie game. It has like a spooky setting to it. It was also I didn't play Sims before and I didn't drink dark beers, so I thought two things that are unfamiliar to me. So there are different ways to do those pairings that people have taken different approaches on the channel. I know one that I have coming up is I'm pairing anti-hero with not a hero because the titles are similar, and they're like one's kind of, it's not really a shmup, but it's kind of just like a you just go through the game and then just kill everything. So it has like shmup elements to it. And then IPAs are very stereotypical, like typical beer. So I thought those went well together. Other times it's been like on the setting. So I know people have done like a winter ale and like a game that takes place in a snowy setting. So those are kind of how we've been pairing those on Big Culture's team. And typically me or Ryan will be involved in one. We'll like do one together, and then we'll do one with like a like guest writer. So those have been interesting and just ways to like drink different beers, and then also like to play different games and kind of expand like horizons on both of those fronts. To just have like one beer and then maybe play a game for like 1 or 3 hours. Sometimes I've beaten the games too, depending on how into the indie games I get.
Right.
And a lot of times I'll get those games off of like Humble Bundle, or we'll look for just anything that's on sale, and then I'll try to like find a beer that'll match that, or I'll have a beer in mind. Like I get the variety 6-packs at Binny's, and then I'll be like, okay, so if I had this in there, like Misfit IPA, what's a game that says like Misfit or Rebel? Like maybe I'll like I can't think of an indie game that I'd pair that with, but like I'd be looking for like those type of themes, or like that type of gameplay, and that's kind of how that's kind of run.
Right. Yeah, I think I did something similar when I did the one that I paired up with you. That should be coming out in November at some point. I did Sunrider Academy with Spiteful IPA. I don't usually drink IPAs, but I did this time, and it was like a dating sim, and I don't usually play those, but I thought dating sim, Spiteful IPA, haha. So I think I went for the name grab. And I hope I get to do more in the future. I really like the way that people pair them up based off of just like concepts. I think is really interesting. And after having done that, the game where I played with the beer and wrote about it, like paired with the beer, I've kind of taken to drinking a little bit more when I'm gaming. I'm not like excessively, but I like to have a drink while I'm gaming. Which is a little, I don't know, it's a little strange, because obviously I didn't do that when I was a kid. So, like, you grow. And I think for me, a lot of times drinking is, like, a good part of my gaming experience, especially if I'm, like, playing for a long amount of time or at nighttime, or sort of, like, creating a relaxing experience for myself.
Yeah, and I think that's a theme we see, like, in the community overall. So, like, you have, like, drinking with just, like, a game. I do that definitely casually as well. Like I'll have a beer and I'll play like FIFA with my brother. Once again, it always comes up to FIFA. That's all I do. But I think it's interesting too, because like now we have we're like one of the first, like our generation that like grew up with games.
Yes.
Like home console gaming as like a thing. So it's interesting too, like seeing all the beercades that pop up. Like there's beercade in Chicago. There's also I forgot the name of the one in Wicker. There's like another Emporium, yeah. Emporium. There's probably a couple others that I'm just not thinking of naming. So it's interesting because like now that we grew up, it's like now we can like what if we just did these things together? And they pair together so nicely because it's they're fun, they're casual. So like I definitely love going to beercade and just having like a drink and playing some arcade games. And at beercade, all the arcade games are free. So I'm just got to pay $5-6 for a beer plus a tip, and then you're good. So that being said, have you like obviously we like promote drinking responsibly, but like have you ever done like drinking games with like video games? I know for me, like I've done the famous Beerio Kart, though I modded because I'm like 12 pounds, so I like don't do a full beer in the race because I can't, because I get really full. So I'll do like a beer per 2 races. I also did Shasio Kart, which was the same concept but easier because there's not any.
Also horrible idea.
It was easier to do, so I thought it worked pretty well. I had a good time. I won, so on multiple levels I won, so it was good. I was also playing against people that were easier to beat than you and Catherine, but I'll take my W where I can get it. But yeah, so have you ever done anything like that?
Not as much as I want to, which is maybe not the most responsible answer. I think the only time I've actually done like a drinking game with video games was when we did Mario Party. It was like a couple years ago, I think, when we were like juniors in college, and we did Mario Party, and there was like a drinking game for like when Wario, and he's like the computer, like when Wario does this, or when someone gets a star, or when like. So we had rules for that, and I hope we recreate it for our Mario Party that we're gonna have in the future. So look out for that on social media because it's gonna be adorable, and maybe a little boozy. And I don't know, I've been thinking in the future that I'd like to do more with that, although a lot of times I'm kind of a solitary gamer, so it's like, I'm sitting at home, I just killed, the boss, take a shot. Like, that's weird and awkward and not, like,
Oh yeah, that'd be weird. Like,
Yeah,
don't play
so
drinking games with yours alone. That's just strange.
Yeah, so I don't do that because I usually play alone. So if I played like more, if I start doing more multiplayer stuff, then yeah, I definitely be into it. We should do some Mario Kart, me and my roommate Catherine, because we're both a little too good when we're sober. I want to see what happens when we're not. I played Mario Kart while inebriated, but I got inebriated before I played. So
right, it doesn't really count as a
don't
game.
drunk drive. It makes a lot of sense. If you ever worry, if you think, well, that's not true. Like I could probably drive drunk. Play Mario Kart when you're drunk, and you'll be like, I could never be a drunk driver.
Yeah, I fell off everything. Even the roads that didn't have a way you could fall off. Yeah. I just went into like the nexus of the universe, and it was terrible.
Yeah, so if there's ever any doubt in your mind, take the Mario Kart test. Yeah, so, and then I guess, are there any games that you've played where there's like drinking involved in them, or like that, drinking kind of plays a role? I guess for me, immediately I think of like Sims. There's not actually drinking in it, but there's like a juice bar, and they drink juice, and you can make juice at like the bar, but they're not actually drinks. They're not alcoholic, but you still get a little weird when you drink a lot of them.
They're alcoholic, but they're trying not to pretend. They're pretending they're not.
It's like how they call sex woohoo, in Sims. It's not sex. It's like it is though, because it's really pretty graphic. Yeah, so Sims is weird. So that's one of the things that comes to mind for myself. And then like Mass Effect, I know you can grab a drink in Mass Effect, although it's like such a low part of the game that you don't really end up doing it. Also, it's like, I'm kind of on duty and trying to save the world, so I don't really want to grab a drink right now. I wish I could see more games that sort of integrate it as a more normal part of lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think I've played a whole lot that have like drinking components to them. The first thing I think of is like in Majora's Mask, you can go get like a glass of milk, which is like as if milk bars are a thing. That's not a thing that exists.
I wish they were.
I mean, granted,
great.
now suspension of disbelief. Like, there's a lot of things in Majora's Mask
that
are not.
You're gonna take the shoe off.
Yeah, I was like totally fine with the whole like moon crashing into Earth, even though we all know that would mess with the tides. If you watch, what's that channel? Matt Pat's on it. Game Theory.
Oh,
yeah. Great channel. Very annoying host, but great channel for content. But yeah, that was the first thing I took issue with, the drinking milk at the bar. Though Link is a child, so I get that he can't drink alcohol, but whatever. The only thing that comes to mind is Conker's Bad Fur Day, which I'm so shocked I found out right before we shot this that Jess has not played Conker's Bad Fur Day.
I didn't have an N64.
Which is like, that's like all the games that I played came from N64, so that's crazy, but
sorry.
Yeah, so you need to do that.
We'll add it to our list of games anyway.
Yeah, for the gaming in each other's shoes, the filling in those cultural gaps. But yeah, just Conker's with, the whole premise is that you like had a crazy night out and you're trying to find your way home, and he wakes up and he has to like go get water because he's dehydrated because he was like wasted last night. Yeah, I have to replay that because I only played it a little bit as a kid, but that's kind of the only one that comes to mind, I think, with drinking elements. It's interesting because I think like in some ways game developers probably might try to shy away from that just because of like, I guess the theme, like I guess like adult themes could just like rank up your ESRB rating for no reason. But I've always liked being able to like, eat and drink in a game because I think it's, I don't know, it's like, it's interesting. Like I like, I'm trying to think even like the Pokemon games, you can like get the little sodas and stuff, and I like how those do things. You can drink your soda and that has an effect. So yeah, I would like to see that more integrated, I think.
I think the now that I think about it, another one that it plays a large role in is like Skyrim. You can drink alcohol in Skyrim. I think also in Fallout. So a lot of Bethesda games, and it meshes up your vision, but it also gives you certain benefits. So it's like a pro-con.
Ooh, I like that.
Thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's like they also have some like drugs in those games, but they're not like conventional drugs from like our reality. They're like Jet, in Fallout. But yeah, you can drink in those games and like your vision gets super blurry, but you also get like health or something like that, So it's like, do I want to risk like drinking this and being like sort of inebriated for a bit and get the benefit or not? And then I guess a game also that I know you've played is Sunset Overdrive. I just started playing this the other day.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, it's a super ridiculous game, and I'm kind of loving it so far.
It's really good.
You escape from all the ODs, what are they called? Yeah, the overdrive ODMs or overdrive monsters. I don't remember what they call them. And you get to your apartment. You've been running from them. You close all the doors. You move everything over, and then you go to your fridge and you get a beer out. And there's like 50 beers in there. And on the fridge it says "Get more beer."
Oh yeah,
that's great. So that's what comes to mind for me. I think we could all learn something from that.
Yeah, I love that moment. Yeah, such a good. I've barely played it, which I think is like a common thread I've heard from people that own Overwatch. Like, oh yeah, I need to play that, and like no one's played it. But yeah, such a great game, super fun. I think one thing that like really sticks out about that game, and I guess stands out about like this idea of like, you know, drinking in video games or alcohol in video games in general is just that like it's it adds like a level of authenticity. Not to say that like everyone drinks or everyone should drink, but like I think it kind of adds like a humanizing moment to characters and to experiences, because like, you know, drinking is a fairly common activity, and even people who like don't drink usually like have a like it's semi rare to see someone that like completely will not drink alcohol, like they will not drink it at all. Every now and then some people choose to do that, but usually like even if it's just like to celebrate or to like commemorate something or like a glass of wine with dinner, I think there's something very like human and ritualistic about that.
Definitely.
That I think goes really well with the gaming, just because it can add like, you know, something familiar and comforting to an otherwise like unfamiliar world.
Yeah, definitely. I think it also personalizes the characters a lot, because, you know, there's a difference between a character who drinks Bud Light and a character who drinks, like, a craft beer. No offense. I think we know which one's better.
Yes, offense.
But, like, that says a lot about a character. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to make a lot of assumptions about a character who drinks Bud Light, just like I'm going to make a lot of assumptions about a person who drinks Bud Light in my life, you know? So, like, I think it matters for how you characterize him. Just like any other medium, characterization is important. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll see more of that in the future.
Yeah. Oh, I think last minute plug in this video about like I guess video games and drinking is me and my brother recently made the Game Blitz drinking game that goes along with this podcast I listen to called Game Blitz. They're awesome.
We'll link to it.
Yeah, they're also on YouTube, but they're like primarily like an audio podcast, but they have a video now as well. And yeah, so me and my brother made a drinking game based on like the mannerisms, I guess, of the podcast, because we're just that level of nerd. So it's been kind of fun, like just kind of another way to add in like video game culture and drinking. So yeah, we'll link to that, to, you know, that channel, and then also like I can maybe link to, I think, maybe Twitter or something, because I posted on Twitter the rules of the drinking game. Just another way to tie in, you know, drinking to video game culture and be kind of ridiculous in that, because I think, you know, video games in themselves are kind of like a ridiculous and strange and super like nerdy and passionate thing, which I think, you know, if you're interested in beer and like drinking and like craft beer and that scene, that can also get really nerdy. So I think that's one reason I really like, pairing those two together, because it seems to work pretty well. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to give this a like. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. Let us know what you guys do for drinking games, or what kind of pairings you've done, any like weird cocktails you've made, any like nerdy cocktails based on like a game or a character or anything like that, anything drinking related. So thanks for tuning in to our 21st episode, and we'll see you next week.